Hi, this is Pete's Perfect Food, back here with a cracking little video for you. And especially with it being locked down now in England, this is for you. I'm going to make you an amazing roast pepper and tomato chutney. So let's get into it. Right, for this recipe, these are 8 red peppers. I've got 1 yellow pepper. This is all from my garden. Got 2 red onions, 300 millilitres of cider vinegar, 300 grams of sugar, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of yellow mustard seeds, 2 kilos of tomatoes from my garden, this is the end of the year stuff, 2 cloves of garlic, and a little bit of English rapeseed oil just to coat the peppers with. Right, so first things first, what I've got to do is roast the peppers and the tomatoes in the oven for about an hour, 45 minutes depending on your oven, it could be give or take. All I need to do is coat each of the peppers in a little bit of rapeseed oil, and then what we're going to do is bang them so they blister up. Now you can also do this in a pan if you're really struggling for time, the same principle, or if you've got a gas top, you can literally put them naked on the flames and then make sure they're blackened up, and then what you'll do is you'll leave them to rest in a bowl with some cling film over, just so you get the flavour, which you don't want the seeds inside, so that'll be ready for the chutney. Also, the tomatoes, I'm just going to leave them whole. They're going to go straight in the oven, again with a little bit of rapeseed oil, salt and pepper on them, and they're going to come up really nice and sweet, ready for the chutney. Right, so as you can see, I've just put the big tomatoes on one side, the little tomatoes on the other side. The reason being is, obviously the little tomatoes will cook a lot quicker, so they'll take about 20-25 minutes. These big boys will take at least 45 minutes to an hour. And with the peppers, I've done exactly the same, season them up into the tray. They're going to get a nice good roasting for an hour. That'll give me my maximum amount of flavour I can get for this chutney. Right, so the reason I'm showing you this recipe is simply this, is because with the pandemic we're going on with right now, people are going to be wasting too much food, and to be honest with you, preserving it is going to be a really good way of saving you a load of cash and having something really useful in the cupboard. This chutney would be great for sandwiches, you put in toasties, you can use it as a base of flavour for a sauce. You know, the sky's the limit with this. So don't waste your food, make sure you keep as much as you can, and don't waste it. Make it into something more productive down the line. So this is why I'm showing it. Also, it's just, also with the flavourings, if you don't like anything I've put on here, you can change what you like. So if you don't like dried oregano, you can put dried thyme in or dried basil in. It's completely up to you, and you personalise it however you want to be. It's your chutney at the end of the day, and you're going to be the one that eats it, so make it so it's like what you want to eat. Right, so the little tomatoes have had about 25-30 minutes. They've just come up nice and charred right now. Oh, the lens is flaring up. And all you want to do now is leave that to cool down for about 5 minutes. So what I'll do now is I'll chop up the onions ready for the chutney, and I'm going to start getting it going. Right, so the next thing I'm going to quickly do is literally, I've cut up the onions. I've done it in quite a coarse chop because I want it like that for the chunkiness. I like it for texture. It's personal preference. If you want it smaller, please be my guest, go smaller. I'm going to fry this off into 2 pans, so I'm going to make the chutney time a lot quicker. So literally, I'm going to split this in half and everything else in half now, and literally just start getting this chutney going. Right, so as you can see, I've literally just split it in half, half there and half there, and literally I'm going to cook these down to nice and soften them up and get a little caramelisation going now. Right, so as you can see, it's starting to get some colour on the bottom here, which is really perfect, that's what I want to do. I've turned it down now to quite a low heat to let it caramelise really nice display now for about 5-6 minutes. That's exactly what I want. It will give me a really good flavour, and then I can start adding in all the other ingredients. Right, so what I've got here is a 2 litre Kilner jar. Now if you're doing a smaller batch, obviously you're going to need smaller ones. In that case, you'll need something like this. You can go for these ones instead, that's absolutely fine, no worries. Just make sure you sterilise them as always. It's 15 minutes at 140 degrees, sterilise everything, or if you've got a really good hot dishwasher, 1 good wash, that'll sterilise it, ready for you to be potting into. Right, so the peppers have had 45 minutes now. They're starting to get slightly charred there. Now you can go further than this if you really want to, that's up to you. And you can go completely black, or if you really have the choice at the moment, and if you've got one, blow torch it, and finish it off, but I'm happy with that because it will give me enough flavour from that. I'm going to put it into a big bowl now, leave it to steam for about 5-6 minutes, and then literally take out all the seeds, get rid of the skin, and literally then go from there and then put them all into the chutney. Right, so as you can see, I've just put all the peppers in there, but all this stuff here, I'm going to literally take it off to add it into the chutney. This is adding extra flavour, and this is going to make it from good to ridiculous. Right, so all I've done is literally put like about a few tablespoons of the vinegar. It's going to go in anyway, and literally I'm just rubbing it off to get it so all that extra flavour will now go into the chutney. So the large tomatoes have just come out now, they're nice and roasted, and that's what I wanted. I've literally just put in the spices, so the smoked paprika, the oregano, and the mustard seed, sorry, and the garlic. And all that's doing now, I'm just going to let it cook together for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to start adding the tomatoes, the sugar, the vinegar, and then I'm going to start sterilising my jar. But I don't know if you can see all that, but all that in the bottom there, right in the corner, is the juice. That's all going to go into the chutney as well. And again, that's added flavour that you don't want to waste just because you think, oh, it's where the money's at. Right, so tomatoes are in now, and as you can see, there's plenty of liquid in there, but we want to reduce that straight away before we add in the vinegar and the sugar. I'm going to reduce it to about 1/3 of liquid. What you can do is break up the tomatoes a little bit so that they break down as well, because what you want to do is it all breaks down really nicely for when you want to jar it up, and it's a lot easier to do as well. Right, so with the peppers, I literally had to do this without showing you, unfortunately, but all I did was peel them, got rid of all the mustard seeds, and literally just pulled it apart so that it's got nice little chunks in it. So that's going to go into the chutney now, and then that's going to get reduced down. So it's getting there. It's had about 15 minutes so far, so we should be done within half an hour, 40 minutes, but it'll be well worth it. So one other thing you could do to add to this chutney is some of the sun-dried tomatoes we've done in a previous video. We'll have a link in the description for that video, but you could add in that and they'll make it even better. So there are always things you can add into this chutney to make it even better. So just play with it, have a little bit of fun with it, especially if you've been locked down. You can have a lot of fun, make some new fun things, even do it with your kids. They'll be amazing on the weekend, and that'll be really good fun for them. Right, so all I've done now is I've just added in the sugar and the vinegar, and I'm going to leave it to reduce for 20 minutes or so. So it's a good couple of hours to make this, but it will last years, and I mean years. The longest one I've ever had is 15 years old, and it was absolutely incredible. So do not worry if it gets put to the back of the cupboard and you forget about it for a while. It will be absolutely fine. As long as it's in an airtight jar, you're good to go, so don't worry about that. So one thing to do is just remember to keep stirring it every few minutes, just make sure it doesn't stick, and make sure it's all good at the bottom, because we don't want burn pans. It's a nightmare. Right, so the chutney's done now. It's had about 45 minutes, which is a bit longer than I expected, but that's fine. The tomatoes were really juicy, so that's fine. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to pot it up, and I'm going to wrap this video up. Right, so as you can see, the chutney's pretty thick now. It will keep cooking out a little bit longer, even when it's in the jar. I'm actually decided to put in some fresh basil and parsley just to really freshen it up right at the end. So I'm going to do that in a second, mix it in, and then into my sterilised jar, and I'm going to wrap it, and then I'm going to seal it up as normal. Right, so as you can see, a nice full jar of chutney, and that will be absolutely beautiful. The longer you leave it, the better. If you can leave it for a month at a minimum, brilliant. If you can leave it longer, even better. Right, so there you have it. That's my perfect tomato and pepper chutney. If you want to join the food family, hit the subscribe button and notification bell. And as always, you legends, I love you, you're amazing. Let's get through lockdown together. Peace out.